Good evening. Here are the stories making headlines. Around the world, 100 years ago this week.
August 17th through the 23rd, 1926. A train disaster, a currency battle, a daring motorcycle record, and the changing tides of global events. These were the stories making headlines 100 years ago.
August 17, 1926, Romania. A train crossing the countryside became the scene. According to contemporary reports, Jewish passengers traveling from Galați toward Czernowitz were attacked by Among those reportedly seriously injured were Samuel Heller and Simon Scherf. But this was not an isolated incident. Reports described repeated attacks against Jewish passengers on Romanian trains, accused railway employees and authorities of failing to stop the violence. Even after the government ordered railway officials to prevent such attacks, anti-Semitic violence continued.
August 18, 1926, Pesaro, Italy. The leader declared a new battle. But this time, his enemy wasn't an army. It was Italy's currency.
In 1926, the lira was trading at roughly 150 to the pound.
The government wanted to push the lira much higher, toward 90 lire to the pound. The goal became known as Quota, but forcing the lira higher came at a price. The policy contributed to deflation, putting pressure on wages, businesses, and Italy's economy.
For the leader, the currency was more than economics. It was also a demonstration of political power.
On August 18, 1926, the leader turned Italy's currency into another battlefield.
August 19, 1926, a silent trap is set along the Berlin-Cologne line. Under the cover of darkness, saboteurs work in silence, dismantling the spine of German transit. The express train speeds through the night, carrying hundreds of unsuspecting passengers. Seconds from disaster, they spot the damage. It is too late to stop. At 1:50 a.m., the massive engine plunges down, collapsing into a chaotic vortex. At dawn, the horrific reality is laid bare. 21 lives shattered. This was no accident. State investigators arrive. They quickly realize this was not a simple mechanical failure. The evidence is clear, bolts unscrewed with professional precision. This was deliberate sabotage. A massive manhunt begins, searching for a phantom killer who knew the railway's vulnerabilities. Who loosened the rails? To this day, the Leiferde sabotage remains an unsolved mystery.
August 20, 1926, Japan. Imagine living in 1926. You turn a small dial, and a human voice suddenly appears from the air. For the first time, ordinary citizens heard a human voice travel invisibly through the air. To many, it felt less like science and more like magic. Behind the wooden panels lay a fragile maze of copper, crystal, and glass, devices built to capture waves silent to the human ear. From high atop Atago Hill in Tokyo, powerful transmitters pulsed these invisible currents into the atmosphere, searching for listeners. Suddenly, the vast distances of the nation collapsed. News, music, and time itself became instantaneous. But the airwaves were divided. 3 independent stations operated in isolation: Tokyo, Osaka, and Nagoya. A unified voice was needed. On August 20, 1926, the government intervened. A historic merger was signed, uniting the 3 regional pioneers into a single national entity. This was the birth of Nippon Hōsō Kyōkai, the Japan Broadcasting Corporation. With this union, the airwaves ceased to be fragmented experiments. They became a singular national medium, binding millions of lives together. An invisible signal had become a new way for an entire country to hear the world.
In 1926, a motorcycle racer was about to push a wooden track to its limit. His machine was built for one thing: speed. But the track itself was dangerous. It wasn't asphalt. It was made of wooden boards. At racing speeds, every bump, every loose board, every mistake could become catastrophic. But Fredericks wasn't there to play it safe. He was there to go faster. He covered 1¼ miles in just 37.4 seconds. That meant an average speed of 120.3 miles per hour on a wooden track. On August 21, 1926, speed had a new meaning.
August 22, 1926. Athens woke to another military coup. A military general had turned against the dictator president. The army and navy backed the military general. Within hours, the dictator had lost control of Athens. But the leader was far from Athens, vacationing on the island. Now, they sought his capture. A naval vessel arrived to arrest him. Pangalos was captured and placed aboard the Pergamos. A naval vessel arrived to arrest him. Pangalos was captured and placed aboard the Pergamos. But the story was not over. The commander of the Pergamos remained loyal to the leader and tried to take him away. The leader was now trying to escape aboard the Pergamos, a fast torpedo destroyer, but another Greek warship was coming after him. The Leon gave chase. After the pursuit, the leader was forced to surrender. The dictator who had seized Greece by a coup had now been overthrown by another.
August 15, 1926. In the heart of New York, a sudden shadow fell behind the silver screen. A glass shatters, and an era begins to fade. At the Polyclinic Hospital, hope withered like a falling petal. Inside this silence, a quiet farewell arrived for a star who was only 31. The news struck the city like a shockwave.
Read all about
Manhattan
it.
stood still
We
in the
have
rain.
lost our idol
Hollywood had
today.
lost its greatest idol, and a legend was born.
And that was the world 100 years ago this week.
7 days, 7 stories. Violence, politics, crime, technology, speed, power, and loss.
The headlines have faded, but the stories remain. Next week, another 7 days from the past.